Well, hello there. I'm Lost Pool, and welcome back to year 6 of the Wild Territories. And hey, sorry it's been so long. These last 2 months have been hard. Honestly, I have been trying to get these out at the end of the month, but I might genuinely have to drop it down to every other month or just whenever I can get it done. Because the first thing that happened was I got seriously burnt out. Like, I didn't even want to think about drawing cats for a long time. Then I got super busy. My work is short staffed, so I've been picking up a lot of overtime, which has been really nice on my wallet, but not so nice on my time to draw. Then, as you might have seen, I had some D&D things happen. If you didn't see, I've been a dungeon master for D&D 5th edition since 2017. We've just started our third campaign and had a few player turnovers and moved it online, so that was a whole heap of stress on its own that I had to figure out. I've actually been editing those sessions together and posting them onto a second channel I share with my best friend and cleric player. So if you want to see those, you can hop over to Into the Dungeons and check us out. However, if you saw on my community tab, the editing process also ended up basically frying my computer. So I ended up having to completely wipe it. Meaning I had to learn how to mess with Clangen's code to put my clan back together, which took forever and was its own stressful experience. Thank you, Kaigus. Your video is the only reason I was able to manage this. And luckily, I had played both this year and the next before it got wiped, so those remade clans will be for year 8. But yeah, after all that stress, it was still pretty hard to get all these drawings done. I'm literally recording this on October 7th at like 11 p.m. So I might seriously have to leave it down to every other month or just whenever I can get it done. But if so, I'll try to have some other things to post, like speed paints, or maybe I'll record a Life Gen playthrough. Gods. Alright, after all of that, I think we're finally ready to get into the actual clans. Sorry about the rambling, but the Wild Territories had a crazy year for both clans. So let's start off with Winterclan, who, as I mentioned last year, is finally talking to the Strange clan in the Caged Wilds. So, let's begin. But of course, the customary trigger warning. Be ready for blood and fighting and animal death, along with some talks about kidnapping and child endangerment and some ableism at the end. Sylvester leads her clanmates through the torn wall into the Caged Wilds. She hears each of them murmuring in apprehension as they pass. A medicine cat, her council, her mate, and a few trusted warriors. Even now her council bickers about if they brought too many or not enough warriors, all of them convinced this is going to end badly. It had been enough to insist she left her heir at home, still sleeping off the vigil of his warrior ceremony, left behind just in case things go very badly. Sylvester knows they won't, though. She'd spoken to Caramola just days earlier to set this up. Her father had promised peace. So when she finally gets to where Kara and her dad had agreed to meet, she's confident as she waits. She is admittedly relieved, though, when she hears the other clan coming, making no effort to hide their approach, pushing through the foliage till they're in sight of Winterclan. Instantly, her clan reacts. Gasps of fear, hisses, claws being unsheathed. Rippleclaw even quickly pushes himself between Sylvester and the other clan. Sylvet quickly whispering, "Calm down, we're here for peace." But Rippleclaw's fur does not fall flat as he hisses, "Sylvet, those are not cats." Kara's laugh brings silence to the other clan cats. "Of course we are not. We are not as tiny as you little kitties. The furless feeders called us the lynx." "Lynx?" Sylvester whispers. "The two legs called you that? You've been here that long?" "I told you, my family have been here long before your kind. Isivetpa, this is our leader, my father Alexei." It's Sylvester now, actually. I lead our clan at the moment. It is a pleasure to meet you." Alexei looks down at his son. "Thought you said a warbler." They change leaders quickly. Weaklings do that. Weak? Rippleclaw snarls as he moves to go nose to nose with the Lynx leader. Who are you calling weak? I'll shred your ears here and now. Apparently his anger overcoming any apprehension, despite Crest Valley shouting for him to stop. Alexi's sharp-toothed grin spreads as he raises a paw, claws unsheathed. We'll see about that. Rippleclaw moves first, though, lunging at Alexi's throat before the Lynx can swipe down, managing to topple Alexi over and send them both rolling across the grass. Sivetstar screeches for Rippleclaw to stop, but Kara sits down next to her with a laugh. Relax. Your fighter is speaking our language now. Sivetstar is confused, but too distracted as Alexi pins down a panting and bleeding Rippleclaw. Alexi is bleeding as well, though, as he laughs. I like you. Much more than the last tiny kitties that wander in here. Still gonna kill me? Ripple spits. Alexi hums like he's considering it before lifting his paws off of Rippleclaw. And snuff out that fire. I'd rather not. He turns back to the other cats. Come, Sivetstar. Let us talk of peace. Sivetstar is still shaking as she forces herself to respond. We just need cats to stop dying when they come in here. They are trespassing. I understand that, and I plan to warn the other clans to stay out, but I worry that will just spur them to investigate more. And cats outside the clans don't know. Sivetstar hesitates before she adds on. Not to mention, your territory kinda lies between our land and our allies. If something bad happens to them, we might need to get to them quickly. Alexi does seem to genuinely consider this. I am sure we could work something out. Freedom to walk each other's lands? Perhaps if trust is built. Sivet starts to question how they would build trust before Rippleclaw cuts in. And what about a call to arms? Alexi looks amused at that. You want us to fight for you? If necessary. Alexi laughs. Audacity! Tell me, little fighter, are you a father? Rippleclaw practically pales. I will be soon. Why? Perfect. Because I will make you a deal. Alexi purrs. Little kitties are better at hunting. Smaller. Sneakier. If you hunt for us, we will hunt for you. And we will let you walk our lands with trust forged on bonds of our young. My son's mate is soon to have a litter of kits. One of my kits will grow with yours, and yours with mine. You want to switch kits, Civet whispers. They will learn your ways, fight and hunt with you, take part in your traditions, and come back to my troop knowing you more, as will mine with you. And we will promise each other with safety with this, of them and all. Sivetstar breathes, pressing a paw to her belly and waiting for Rippleclaw to nod before whispering. Okay. Before we get into the outcome of that meeting, though, we have to go over our very few deaths of the year. And our first death in Winterclan this year hurts. Daffodil Wing died early this year. And I am so sad. Mr. Dad Man Wife Guy went out to a dog this year, giving his life to lead it off of the territory. He also died early in the year, so he only had one patrol before his death, where he took his son Vol out and they practiced in perfect synchronicity. I am so sad to see him go, as it seems like he won't have 90% of the clan to be his and Basilbur's kin. But, speaking of their kin, one of the girls from his most recent litters is here too. Fur Spirit. She actually dies on the first moon of next year, but because she dies of red cough, I decided to just put her in this year. She did help bury her dad, picking the best spot in the burial grounds for him, and she did get apprenticed to Vine Jumble, tracking a rogue and chasing them off the territory before catching the cough, and she's been in the medicine den ever since. So, on to our living cats, starting with Sivetstar, who got together with Rippleclaw this year. They got together early, just quietly combining their nest together, and she was already pregnant by the time they went to meet with the lynxes. She was hoping for a big litter, and they did have 3 kits, one of which is pre chosen to go train with the lynxes for a few years once they reach 6 moons. And in turn, one of the lynx kits will be coming to train with the cats next year when they're old enough. Civet Star is scared to send one of her kits away, but she's taken the role of leader seriously and is willing for this if it means her clan is safe in the caged wilds. And honestly, she's a little more worried about how the other clans will react to seeing her clan raise a lynx. Also, I knew I wanted to add something to their leadership to show they're working with the lynxes since they're kind of the only leaders that don't have something extra, if we count Mimic Clan's bats. And I toyed around with the idea of like bones or teeth for a while, but that was too much like Serpent Clan. Then I found one of my actual cats shed claws, like claw sheaths, and I liked that idea. So, the Winterclan leader now wears a necklace of shed lynx claws strung on a piece of fence wire, and one on the base of their tail to symbolize the lynx's bobbed tail. I highly considered having them like manually bob their own tails, but that felt a little too brutal, and Civet Star has a very notable tail. I might revisit that with our clan's next leader though, but we'll see. Our heir is all grown up. He was obviously apprenticed to Civet Star and took his role as heir very seriously. On his first patrol, he was shown the upper territory, and he and Civet Star caught too much prey to carry back in one go. At one point, he accidentally walked in the dreams of a rogue group, actually managing to warn the clan of their attack so Winterclan could chase them off instead, earning his warrior name at 10 moons and being honored for his hard work. He's honestly excited to have a lynx in camp. He thinks it'll be new and interesting, but that might just be because he's so young. And the Winterclan heir now wears a necklace as well, with one single claw, and a small bracelet of them on one paw. Holy crap, guys! We finally did it! We have the same leader, heir, and council from last year. Only took 6 years. So, checking in with our council members, starting with our council lead, Branch Snarl. She was working hard this year, trying to build up the battle confidence of others before they talked to the Caged Wilds troop. Then, she ended up chatting with a Clamberclan patrol, complimenting them on their battle with Mimic Clan. They then came nose to nose with a badger that seems to have instantly run to Mimic Clan after, because she warned them about a badger on their territory the next moon. Talon, meanwhile, spent most of the year hunting the dog that killed Daffodil Wing. She had so many patrols fighting dogs. She was definitely going for them. She also became a grandma with Civet Star having kids, so at least she gets that now. And Honeyfin actually got her Elder Sprite this year. Though council members don't retire, she is taking it a bit easier, leading group stretches with the council and hunting close to the camp. It is going to be so sad to see her go. She's the last founder left in Winterclan after Warbler Star's death. Honestly, I'm shocked by how quickly the founding members went in these clans. And a new high position in camp, Dustrump, is the new Artyom, or designated hunter for the Lynx troop to keep up their end of the deal. She also functions kind of as a mediator specifically for them. She's working hard to learn about them each time she drops off food for them. Despite getting a scar on her tail from the dog, she has never stopped working hard, constantly hunting, and it's already told one of Civet Star's kits will be her apprentice to learn to be an Artyom as well. Artyom is the only other position that wears claws. Medicine cats don't actually get anything. Instead, the Artyoms do a blood clan and fit the lynx claws over their own to make them more intimidating and deadly. Into our medicine den with our new medicine cat, Tansy Blink. He was apprenticed to Violet Shine, wanting to help heal the clan and keep them safe and happy, helping out Vine Jumble and Violet Shine early on to stretch their weakened limbs. He had multiple Star Clan cats in his dreams, including but not limited to Bass Fern and Brambleroot, having a nightmare about a rushing river the moon before he actually fell into a river, so I think StarClan was warning and helping him. He then earned his full medicine cat name at 15 moons old, being honored for his independence, and Violet Shine could not be prouder of her apprentice. She did her best to train and support Tansy, accidentally overwhelming her talking about mental struggles. She got some nettles from Luckpool as a gift and now wears them proudly. And finally, Basil Burr is actually in the medicine den. Though between her last litter and her grief, she's only just recently started functioning again. She groomed Rippleclaw despite his protests when he became a dad, such a proud grandma, and has spent the latter half of the year trying to interpret omens to predict how their alliance will go. Say hello to our mediators with a new face or two in here. But let's start with our normal mediator, Ashblade, who is still insulting newborns, as he casually insulted Rukit this year. This man apparently just hates babies. He was super upset about his dad's death, though, spiraling into a bit of a depression. First wondering why StarClan had taken Daffodil Wing so soon, and then wondering if anyone would miss him if he traveled far away. And now say welcome to Luckpool and her mate, Howlrun. Howlrun actually joined super early in the year when Luckpool invited in a warrior from Clamberclan, and there was just no one else it could be. He had been so stressed in Clamberclan with Shademark around, he was going to run away one way or another, but he did specifically join Winterclan for Luckpool, who kept thinking about if it was too late to become a mediator 3 times before I finally switched her. Howlrun is still a warrior and is just drawn here to support his mate. He's actually being a great warrior and has worked his way into being a highly trusted advisor to Sylvester very quickly. Having so many successful hunting patrols, so many good patrols, even digging Crest Valley out when a tree collapsed on him, and already earning himself an apprentice and being such a good mentor. Finally into our classic warriors with Fennelmoth, who has actually seemed to have gotten over her girl fail ways. Other than a brief bout of green cough, she's been really successful on her hunts and patrols, managing to escape a rogue ambush on her own, and closer to the end of the year, was with a few other cats who tried to complain Fennelmoth wasn't taking the hunt seriously, before they all ended up walking home with prey only caught by her. So I'm glad she's doing better this year and finally getting more confident. Faithlet gets to be a dad even more this year, as Axel is in the nursery again. But at the start of the year, he got a StarClan vision. Firestripe coming to assure his brother Cottonblur will be just fine as heir. That StarClan is watching over him as best as they can. He took the job of teaching the heir very seriously, lecturing his kids about morals till they fell asleep. So he's doing his best to contribute to the future of the clan. Before he tried to take Axel out on a training date, ending up tripping and faceplanting and embarrassing himself. Braveburst honestly hasn't done much this year. I think they helped bring Howlrun into the clan, and the two of them are very close because of that, spending a lot of time hunting together. And they did think that they had a vision at one point, but couldn't make any sense of it. So, since then, they've forgotten about it. Crest Valley has also gotten close with Howlrun, joining them often, including when Howlrun had to dig him out of fallen tree branches. They also chased off a rogue together, later fighting the same rogues to protect his brother Volsight and killing one in the process. He did go a bit quiet after Daffodil Wing's death, feeling like his death tore part of his heart out. He hasn't been seen with Snow, his kitty pet mate, quite as much this year because of that, but his close friendships are definitely helping cheer him up once more. Speaking of rogues, both of these brothers got new scars from that jerk Plume this year. We might have to hunt him down next year. Volsight earned his warrior name at 11 moons old, being honored for his hard work, and he looks exactly like his dad. Even their sprites were the same, so only his scars differentiated them. He messed up on a patrol at one point trying to show off, then was cheered up by Vine Jumble with a bunch of inside jokes. Vine, who had shoved bushes into a badger den to see if it was still living there, then was involving all of the kits in a game about traveling through a strange land. When their dad died, Vine Jumble had run out of camp in tears, while Volsight helped bury him and left his favorite prey at the grave. The two boys are mourning together at the moment. Here's a new cat to clan. Meet Wisteria Dusk. She was a loner that was waiting on the border to join the clan, and I'm honestly not sure why, but she kinda gives me bad vibes. I genuinely has no reason. She's done nothing wrong. All she has done since joining is briefly lecture an apprentice about the warrior code that she hardly knows and shove Branch into a set to wake the badger. She's done nothing bad, but the vibes are off. And into our apprentice den, where Basilbur and Daffodil Wing's latest and last litter are Rosepaw and Ruepaw, both daughters. Ruepaw is currently apprenticed to Axel, but I plan to switch her over to Vine Trouble next year since Axel just went into the nursery. As a kit, Kit was guarding the fresh kill pile and telling on her sister, before running into the Ocean Clan medicine cat on her first patrol and leading him back to camp, later chasing a fox off of its prey. While Rosepaw was apprenticed to Howl Run. As a kit, she was watching Rippleclaw work intensely, ending up annoying him following him around so much. Before she was apprenticed to Howl Run, watching him chase off a small dog on their first patrol, then was disappointed after missing a catch and not living up to her mentor. And into our nursery, starting with Axel, who is here again. And I'm not letting them take Basilbur's place. I'm turning off his ability to have kids for a year or two after this. But she only announced they were pregnant at the end of the year. And before that, she had actually been bitten by a snake, seemingly pulling Cotton Kit out of the way. He survived the bite and ended up with a cool scar, and then was spotted leaping from tree to tree for the adrenaline rush. He's unsure how many kits he'll have, but protested the whole way to the nursery. And our last Winterclan cat, Rippleclaw, with his and Savette Star's kits. Their son Lavender Kit, and daughters Zinnia and Lily Kit. And I think it's so cute they named all of their kits after flowers. Lily Kit is the only one set to go train with the lynxes. I like to think the kits were given the choice about which one of them goes, but they might have been too young for that decision. Zinnia Kit, meanwhile, is slated to be the next Artyom to communicate with her sister and the lynxes and hunt for them. Meanwhile, Lavender Kit, he just wants to take a nap. Rippleclaw, meanwhile, has had a bunch of suspicious statuses, doing a lot of disappearing and washing his paws and sharpening his claws. I don't know what he's been up to, but I really hope it's not bad. I hope he's just fighting off predators like the dog that killed his dad, as Rippleclaw was the one to run it off near the end of the year. He also decided to be an edgy boy and let the wound from the lynx leader fester so that it would scar, probably wanting to look more like his dark forest mentor. And that is Winterclan. I cannot express how long I've been waiting for the reveal of the Lynx troop. And because of that reveal, I can finally explain where the wild territories are set up. One person actually already predicted it in like year 2, but the wild territories are actually set up in an abandoned zoo, specifically the Columbus Zoo, because I live in Ohio. Winterclan itself is set up over here in the polar frontier, their camp specifically where the Arctic foxes used to be. The caged wilds is specifically the lynx enclosure, so you can see the Africa section to the north being their secret extra territory. Clamberclan is over here in the Adventure Cove, their camp specifically in the center of that old roller coaster. And something I'm especially proud of, their Star Clan spot, the Star Seeker, is the Ferris wheel they have to climb to the top basket of. Ocean Clan is obviously on this beach over here, specifically in coves that used to be the aquarium section. And Mimic Clan is over here, their camp in the bat habitat. But they also have that wolf pack that lives on the same land, and the beast in the north is an actual tiger. Since my clans started here in the zoo, they don't really have lore about Lion Clan or Tiger Clan or anything like that, so they don't know what these creatures are. And Serpent Clan is, as I've said before, the clan I originally started these clans for. They have their camp over here. For some reason I have it in the leopard enclosure, but more so they're in the underground maintenance tunnels. And their Star Clan spot is what gave me the idea for all of this. Because the Columbus Zoo has this hanging in the ceiling of the reptile house, a picture I took myself. And I thought what a cool spot that would be for a clan to talk to Star Clan. And thus, the Wild Territories were born. And with that finally off my chest, let's get over to Clamberclan and see how their war went. Inkstar stares down from the rise at the other clan, snarling at the way Inkstar grins at her as if daring her to attack first. Her attention is only drawn away momentarily as Soren slinks up with a whisper. Are you sure about this planning, Star? Isn't it too far? They set our camp on fire, Soren, she hisses back. Kits could have died. 2 warriors did. They escalated this. Do what I say. Soren still seems hesitant, but nods and slips away. Inkstar looking back to Moonstar as the leader of Mimic Clan calls out. You should run with him while you still can, Inkstar. Unless you're so desperate for me to reunite you with that useless old man of yours. Dark Dawn tries to step forwards to calm their mom, but too late, as she yowls and takes off down the rise to start the fight, the rest of the clan following loyally. The 2 clans clash with the sounds of tearing fur and yowls of pain and anger, but Dark Dawn freezes, watching Inkstar take off in one direction as Shademark goes the other way with Cheshire, Dark Dawn unsure whether to follow their mother or their sister. Their hesitation makes them an easy target for the bat, though, one swooping down and latching onto their face, tiny fangs going for their eyes. They start to thrash their head to get the bat off, before they're knocked down. At first terrified, till they manage to wipe the blood away and see Barnett Paw toss the bat's body, asking if the deputy is okay. Dark Dawn smiles and thanks the apprentice before calling out, There's flyers! Watch the skies, and guard your eyes! Root Pelt seems to hear a moment too late as a bat swoops down and sinks its fangs into his eyes. He manages to shake it off, but is forced to stumble to the sparse tree line where the medicine cats await. Io watched as Egret Tail tends to the warrior under Goldstrike's advisement, feeling anger burn inside her as they push their shoulders together, before she spots something else. Inkstar, across the battlefield leaping, trying to make her way to Moonstar. But she's suddenly tackled by the Mimic Clan deputy, Flood. Flood wastes no time sinking his teeth into the leader's throat, having been taught to use killing blows without hesitation, watching as the life fades from Inkstar's eyes and she goes still, only to get shouldered off by Icy Minnow, who seems to have no interest in Flood and instead grabs Inkstar to drag the leader away before she can lose more lives. Io moves to nudge Gold's shoulder. Inkstar needs help. Let's go. As they bound off, Egret Tail watches, tension in her body, before Root Pelt purrs. Go, make sure your mom is okay. I'll be fine. Io falls back as Goldstrike picks up the pace, staring at his back, the back of his neck, as her blood boils. Finally she lunges, snarling as she forces Goldstrike down. Let's see if Egret Tail's a little more friendly without you around. Only for Egret Tail to come from behind with a yowl, slamming into Io, sending both cats sprawling in a ball of flashing claws and flying fur as Goldstrike calls out for help. Charmuzzle comes quick to chase Io off as Goldstrike turns to tend to Egret Tail, trying to staunch the blood that flows from her throat. Meanwhile, Cheshire follows at the heels of Shademark as the 2 cut through the battlefield, unscathed despite how many cats they take on, till a yowl takes them off guard, Moonstar screaming, Traitor! As she lunges onto Cheshire. Shademark makes to help, but is pulled up short as another cat steps between them. Moonstar's apprentice, Tyro Finn, standing between Shademark and the leader. Shade hisses for the Tyro to move before they get hurt. But he lunges anyways. So Shademark strikes out as well, leaving the Tyro to bleed out as she goes to help Cheshire. But this time a screech cuts her off, the blood-red bat coming off of Moonstar's shoulder and streaking towards Shademark's face. Fast. Too fast. As all Shademark has to do is open her mouth and greet the feeling of tiny bones crunching in her jaws before she keeps moving. Managing to knock Moonstar down and pin the leader, raising a paw to finish what Condor Stem had started. Only to freeze as they all hear a voice, Soren calling out as he streaks over the rise towards the combat. Clamberclan, up! Shademark grits her teeth, thinking for a moment before deciding to finish off Moonstar first. Only for Cheshire to grab Shademark and pull her away by the scruff, forcing Shade to run with her towards the trees. Moonstar stares after them for a moment, confused, before she hears the snarling. Wolves, the pack that dens on their territory, streaming over the rise after the Clamberclan warrior. She hears her own cats starting to scream as Flood comes and pulls her to her paws. Not every cat moves fast enough, though, as Soren jumps over Vixen and grabs his apprentice. Vixen also watching in confusion, till the teeth find her. Mako and Elkpaw try to run as well, but as Amelia sinks her teeth into Elkpaw's tail, Mako turns to help. Moonstar can only stare as she watches her clan be torn apart by the fierce predators. Some of her cats even being knocked out of the safety of the trees by Clamberclan cats taking up the branches. In this moment, she feels the weight of loss and failure, and knows this war is over. Okay, first things first. Yeah, it was decided Ferntail belonged in the Dark Forest. Inkstar kits have a habit of taking things into their own hands, so no way would they let her stay in StarClan with them. So Ferntail was chased into the Dark Forest and given a nice little scar to remember them by. And I drew this nice little comic of it happening, so I'm gonna leave that up on screen for a few seconds, but it will also be on my DeviantArt. And the first living cat we're gonna start with from Clamberclan this year is Io, who was chased off after her poor decisions during the battle. Io had been feeling incredibly left out and spiteful towards the other medicine cats all year last year, so I added in a tiny chance for her to attack one of them. And, well, she went for Goldstrike, only for Egrettail to step in. And after Charmuzzle chased Io off, she's mostly been just as resentful of the clans as she wanders around outside of it. Sometimes hiding in Two Legs' place, sometimes slipping into the territory. I think if Mimic Clan loses a few healers, I'll make a small chance for her to join them, but there's another small chance for something else to happen with another cat we'll get into at the end. But since we saw Io, let's start StarClan with Egrettail, who did die to Io's blow. Her siblings were there to greet her, but she's been watching over the clan from StarClan, still trying to send Goldstrike and her mother visions. She's so worried about the future of her sisters and feels terrible leaving them behind. It is such a shame we won't get to see Egret as head medicine cat. I was really hoping to get to see her with star-blessed eyes and get to see her train an apprentice and commune with her siblings more. These two are our only battle deaths somehow, whether that be from Cheshire helping train the clan or Inkstar's plan taking place fast enough. But Elkpaw was grabbed and kept from running as the wolves came. Mako turned to try and help her, only for them both to be swarmed and killed. Elkpaw did die as an apprentice, but Moss Creek demanded she be given a proper warrior ceremony instead of a spirit ceremony, that she be truly honored for all of her work and everything she went through. So, partially in guilt, Inkstar agreed, and named her Elkfrost at 14 moons old, and honored her for her poise. Our only death not in the battle this year was Burnett Dapple, though her death was still kind of the outcome of it. Inkstar's plan with the wolf pack did work, but it also led the wolf pack that once stayed on Mimic Clan territory to drift onto Clamberclan territory as well. So Clamberclan has been contesting with that this year, and Burnett Dapple was caught and killed by them late in the year. He had managed to earn his warrior name at 12 moons and was honored for his perspective. Ironic, considering just the moon before he got into such a heated argument with his mentor, Icy Minnow refused to teach him till he apologized. But with Burnett Dapple's death, that means Shellpatch has only one kit remaining, and it's of course the one that looks almost exactly like Ferntail. With that, on to our living cats, which we might go a bit out of order with. Starting with Inkstar though, who did lose a life in the Mimic Clan battle and is now down to 7. But despite that, her plan to lure the wolves to the fight definitely worked, as Mimic Clan hasn't even been seen on their borders since. She's been heavily leaning on Dark Dawn and Soren ever since. She feels incredibly guilty over Mako and Elkpaw's death, and Burnett Dapple's, knowing it was her plan that got them killed and lured the wolves onto their territory. Wolves that also attacked her, actually managing to bite her tail bad enough it had to be taken off. She seems to have taken the loss of her tail well though, making immature jokes the whole time, until later in the year, where she had to make a tough decision. A decision she did not make alone, as her deputy, Dark Dawn, also helped in that choice. Before that, though, they had tried to put on a brave face at Egrettail's vigil, before breaking down and wailing. They never stopped working hard, though, trying hard to keep things peaceful with Serpent communicating with their mediators best they can, and leading lost apprentices home, then working with Soren to bring down a deer fawn, before helping Inkstar. And Goldstrike also helped, though he's mostly been shattered and stressed this year after the outcome of the battle, working himself to exhaustion, determined to protect his loved ones. He desperately wanted and needed a new apprentice, emphasized when the Winterclan medicine cat apprentice came to ask for herbs, and for the first time ever, Goldstrike shared herbs with them, endeared by their new young healer. And he did get an apprentice at nearly the end of the year, after he took Inkstar out to the burial grounds of the clan and talked about those who have passed. Magnolia Paw is new to camp, being found abandoned at 5 moons by Finpaw. She talked to Goldstrike during her initial checkup and told him she left her old home because of a weird dream and ended up here, talking about starry cats that led her here. Goldstrike decided to offer her the position of his apprentice because of that, and she happily agreed, eager to get more answers about StarClan and to help the clan that willingly took her in. Shellpatch also had a paw in helping out her mom. She had been in the medicine den early in the year after a badger had bit her leg, and she overheard some interesting things. So, despite her weakened leg, once she was out of the medicine den, she was spotted talking to a Winterclan cat. And that, and everything else she did, had to do with the big event this year. So, time to stop beating around the bush and talk about Shademark. As Shademark is still in the clan, but only technically, as she is currently a prisoner in a structure just outside of camp. Inkstar, Goldstrike, Dark Dawn, and Shellpatch all had so many statuses along with Shademarks that implied what happened. Egrettail had been wanting to send Goldstrike a sign and wanting to warn Inkstar after accidentally walking in Shademark's dreams. Dark Dawn and Shellpatch, both in consecutive moons, reported a clanmate for breaking the code, then was judging a clanmate from afar, as well as Shellpatch going to speak with a Winterclan cat. Even Mossy Needle was having constant issues with another Dark Forest cat, so it really just puts together Shade's chickens had come home to roost. Briartooth has been doing his best to drive Mossy Needle away from Shademark, but he talked to Dark Dawn about how she started fighting him as well. She's only getting more violent, and Egrettail could see this too, spotting Shade in the Dark Forest and warning Goldstrike, all while Shellpatch overheard Gold muttering in his sleep. While Goldstrike took this opportunity to talk to Inkstar, bringing her to Ferntail's grave and telling her what happened, Shellpatch snuck to Winterclan to get the full story from Howl Run. And in the end, it was Shell who brought her family together and demanded something be done. She loves her sister, but she did kill her kit's parents. Inkstar wasn't going to exile her, though. Not only could she not stand the thought of losing another kit, but she and Gold had discussed how throwing her out would only drive her further into the Dark Forest's claws. So instead, when they called a meeting and told the clan what happened, she imprisoned Shademark, in hopes she might one day repent for what she's done. But so far, it's not looking promising. Shademark has been spending a lot of time sharpening her claws, and though her cell is always guarded, she's managed to sneak out a few times. Once trying to convince Birchclaw to let her out, but always going to try and hunt down Io for killing her sister. Even tracking her once to Two Legs' place before losing her in a house. So, just stealing the kits that were outside, bringing them back to the clan, hoping bringing new warriors would win her some good favor. Which it most certainly didn't. It's unclear if the kids are Io's or those of whatever poor kitty pet lived there. But she refused to say where she got them, so the clan can't bring them back. And once Shade realized this stunt got the clan more upset with her, she gave the kits pretty cruel names and left the clan to raise them. So she isn't showing much promise for redemption. Oh boy, that was a lot. Back to our normal warriors. Cheshire feels a bit torn this year. She's been working hard, of course, but she does feel bad about what happened to her old clan. She's been trying to ignore gossip about her past, but has snapped at a few cats because of it as well. Despite this, she's still dedicated to her new clan, getting into a scuffle with a badger to protect Shellpatch. Then, sniffing at the den again later and getting attacked again. Icy Minnow has been really overconfident this year after saving Inkstar during the battle, knowing he's a force to be reckoned with at one point. Very funny. Though he was wanting to be deputy at all while chasing off rogues and lecturing lost Ocean Clan apprentices all the way home. He even was hoping for more scars to show off, so he was really feeling himself this year. Soren has stuck close to Inkstar and her family this year, working hard for the clan, trying to talk the wolves back off the territory. He did manage to convince a few to leave, the pack slowly going back to its den in Mimic Clan territory, but some fought back, leading to him currently being injured after protecting Dark Dawn from one of the wolf's attacks. Miss Moss Creek is next, who is doing better this year, happy to have gotten some revenge on Mimic Clan for her last apprentice, and all the more furious for losing another. But she stayed active, shadowing a dog off of the territory and hunting more prey than she could carry after finding a new ambush spot. She is thinking about asking for a new apprentice of one of the stolen kits, just to make sure she's not cursed as a mentor. The first of our new cats in clan, Dewey, has joined as a single dad with his 2 preteen sons, and I have affectionately started calling him Dewdrop, because on his first patrol out he had the earth drop out from under him and had to be dug out by Moss Creek. Then he fell out of a tree the next moon, so this man has issues with gravity. He did redeem himself later, managing to hunt down so much prey that he was able to eat some and still come home with his paws full, and managing to stop and catch some fish as well. So he is a good and capable hunter, just has some disagreements with gravity. And this is the first of Dewdrop's sons, Shatterthorn. He was already 5 moons old when he joined, so he was basically instantly apprenticed to Shellpatch. And that turned out to be a great pairing. Their first patrol out, Shellpatch demonstrated tree climbing, while Shatterpaw sat and listened carefully. As it turns out, Shatter is absolutely the strong silent type, so these two have been spotted together on completely silent patrols. Not a word passed between them, yet some of the most successful patrols the clan has seen. Letting Shatterthorn earn his name early on the last moon of the year at 11 moons old, being honored for his guardedness. Charmuzzle has not been doing great this year. I think she's gotten a bit protective over the remaining medicine cat, as she's often going out with Goldstrike, but not usually to much success. And when she did go out with the warrior, she got her ear torn by a wolf, then had a bird poop on her before being soaked on a hunt, slipping in a mud puddle. She's just had it pretty rough. Birchclaw has taken a lot of the weight of the clan, trying to help them recover from the war and the reveal. He spent days making sure everyone was eating, including learning to fish to bring back enough prey, always helping around camp between his endless duties, and he tried to lead some of the wolves off the territory on his own, willing to give his life for his clan, barely managing to jump to safety at the last second. Fruit Pelt, on the other paw, hasn't done much this year, relearning how to function properly after one of his eyes was blinded by a bat. He did try to fight off one of the wolves and got hurt, before deciding to try and make a new leg with a stick. And you know what? I'm ignoring what cats can realistically make here. I loved that image so much I'm giving my boy a peg leg. Only now am I realizing he kind of has pirate vibes now. Finwhisker earned his warrior name this year, though it was a bit rough going. At one point breaking down on a patrol, apologizing to Soren for having to save him during the battle, thinking he'll never be good enough to be a warrior. Soren assured him before coaxing his apprentice into playing, to blow off some steam, and Finwhisker earned his warrior name early the next moon at 11 moons old, being honored for his prudence. Then he brought Dewey and his 2 kits home, and found the abandoned kit Magnolia kit. A few more new faces in clan. This is Night Echo. She is a former loner that joined the clan about halfway through the year. She's said to have been a wanderer when she found someone worth staying for, so she has a pretty massive crush on someone in Clan that I think might be Finwhisker, but I'm not for sure just yet. She did join technically as an apprentice, but it was only for like a moon, so I'm just saying she joined as a warrior, took on the warrior name, and her mentor, Shademark, just helped her get integrated into clan life. Night Echo also brought in another cat her first moon in clan, rescuing Sparrow Swirl from one of the wolves. Sparrow Swirl, who is absolutely Night Echo's mom, and came to look for her daughter. She's been a really good warrior ever since joining, though, managing to kill a fox on her own and steal its prey, then thinking she had a dream from StarClan and immediately bringing it to Gold Strike. Next up is Tawny Heart, who joined from Mimic Clan after the battle. She blamed Moonstar for starting the battle, so she came to join her grandmother, Cheshire. She was then apprenticed to Inkstar, who immediately took her out to hunt near Two Legs' place so she could understand Clamberclan's close association with Two Legs and kitty pets. Tawny Paw then later tried to steal prey from her old clan, luckily tripping before she could get caught in the act. Then she earned her name at 12 moons old, being honored for her reliability. And here's Dewey's other son, Brushpaw, who hasn't earned his warrior name quite yet. He's currently apprenticed to Finwhisker, and they spent the day of their first patrol shadowing a wolf off the territory. Then later, he tried to fight another and got all scraped up. He's a lot more excitable and friendly than his brother, and is really excited to earn his own warrior name like Shatterthorn here soon. These two are very, very new to clan. The two kits Shademark stole from a two-leg garden that may or may not be Io's kits. They're pretty scared at the moment and haven't been in clan very long at all. They're too little to remember their original home or their original names. Shellpatch has mostly been the one taking care of them for now, doing her best to be a constant calm in these poor kittens' lives. Finally, into our Elder's Den. These two have been up and active this year, doing their best to help their clan through these turbulent times. Silkglade has been trying to help the clan hunt, ending up confused and upset by a new hunting technique, while Onyx has been camp keeping, cleaning up the dens and patching holes, enough to slip on some ice and injure herself slightly. These two have also been disagreeing a lot. Onyx stands by what Shademark did and supports her, while Silkglade doesn't feel safe having a killer so close to camp. And that is all for Clamberclan. Lots of high emotions going around, and dang that Shademark reveal. I actually may or may not be working on a PMV for these events. Depends on how my free time plays out, and my laptop. So we'll see if I ever finish that, but probably not. But with that being the end of Clamberclan, let's check in with what the other clans are up to before we end. Starting, of course, with Mimic Clan, who took incredibly heavy losses during the war, specifically from the wolves. But they also had a lot more cats to spare and take in new cats a lot faster. So they still have a fairly large clan. But despite this, Moonstar took that loss very personally, having been acting more erratically, already starting another war with Serpent Clan and making some not great decisions we'll talk about when we get to the medicine cats. Serpent Clan, meanwhile, hasn't had too much going on. They are managing easily on their side of their fight with Mimic Clan, not losing any cats yet. But Primstar herself is starting to lose lives to old age, which is worrying. And Ocean Clan has also had a pretty rough year. One of Curly Star's kits, Amber Bracken, died this year to an infection, and slight spoiler for like 2 minutes from now, he lost his mate and his best friend as well. All before he himself lost a life to yellow cough, so he is now on 7 lives. Into the deputies, where honestly, not much has changed. Swan lived through the battle and is very worried about his leader. His brother and mothers have been whispering to him from StarClan, telling him to be careful of Moonstar. Wolfspots is still deputy in Serpent Clan and is plotting. I'm not going to say much more about that. But even though her mother might be getting old, we already know Wolfspot to be impatient. And Fox Speckle in Ocean Clan, he's doing his best. About half the clan was kits at one point, so he has had so many apprentices in such a short time. But he's really doing his best to support his leader. And finally, into the fun part with the medicine cats. And boy, do I have a lot to say about them. Let's start with the one I have the least to talk about, Oceanclan, where we see Thunderfleck is the new head medicine cat after only a year, because Voltage died of old age on basically the same moon that Leaf Beetle was murdered by an unknown killer. So now it's just poor, unprepared Thunderfleck and his new apprentice Blackpaw, who is a quiet young man and the son of Lil Baby and Coyote Quill, some of my favorite Oceanclan cats. Over in Serpent Clan, Conifer Flood has been incredibly stressed about Primstar losing lives, especially since he found out Wishspark went and murdered a cat named Briar, who had been Icy Minnow's mate and was the mother of Howlrun. Conifer Flood is way too scared to tell anyone, though, realizing he's probably going to be killed or exiled when Flightfoot's daughter becomes leader. Not helping the fact that Minkfern has been considering retiring. And finally, into Mimic Clan's healers, where Trefoil Storm actually got a message from actual StarClan. A sign of betrayal on the wind, Achen Van Elder's bones, and a kit's cry. Right before 3 kits died, 2 of which were blind, and the other one was paralyzed. And a near elder with a permanent condition was taken by 2 legs. StarClan tried to warn Trefoil Storm about Moonstar's sudden and steep mental decline, deciding her clan has to be the strongest, refusing to put any resources towards those that can't contribute, letting disabled kits die if not killing them herself, and exiling elders and any disabled warriors. And it's only going to get worse. And on that dark foreboding note, that is everything for the Wild Territories this year. This will almost definitely be the last video to be out monthly, so I can try not to get so burned out. So I will see you all again in 2 months, hopefully. I did do a phone background for this year despite everything, but I kept it very simple. I don't even know if you can tell what it is, but it's supposed to be Ink Star with the wolf shadow behind her and Civet Star with the lynx. I still like it either way, and I'm still going to use it. So, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Peace out!